This is an ABC News special report.
And we are coming on the air right now with the breaking news that the pioneering musician Prince has died at the age of 57.
CNN has now confirmed that the artist Prince is dead.
Prince has died at his home in suburban Minneapolis.
April 21st.
April 21st. Yeah.
Walk us through that day.
That day, I was at home in North Carolina, and I was working out in my neighborhood, walking in the morning, and I don't even remember who texted me first, but I walked back home, and I got home, and my mom knew. I told her, I said, something's up, something's wrong at Paisley. Something's wrong with Prince. And then my phone started ringing, and I found out that he was gone, and I didn't want to believe it, and it just felt like it felt like my chest exploded. It felt like my chest exploded, and I went numb. And I just let Lisa know. I was like, this is real. He's gone, and I don't know everything, but I gotta go. And my mom came, and it's kind of like all I remember for a minute, because I was on the floor. It just hurt so bad. I loved him so much, and he loved me so much. And it just hurt. It hurt a lot, you know, and I couldn't, I didn't even know what to say, you know, and there were like news cameras, you know, showing up at the house, like maybe an hour. I've never experienced anything like this in my life, and I didn't know even what to do. And my manager, thank God for her, for putting out fires, because it's like, to a lot of people, you know, Prince was a huge star to them, and I get their interest, and I get them wanting to talk about it. I understand that, but you know, when my daddy died, I didn't want to talk about it that night either. You know, I'm grieving, and you have to give a person time to grieve. Everyone grieves differently, and respectfully, for people that could talk and could do things, that's cool. But my relationship with Prince was that where it felt, like I said, like someone just ripped my heart out of my chest. I didn't know what to say, and I couldn't talk. There was nothing to talk about. It was just I just had to grieve. I had to cry. I had to, just for days, you know, I had to just cry and just be alone and with my family and just try to figure this out, because he was such a big part of my world. So he was a major part of not just my work life, but of my life, my real life. You know, he would check on mama and ask me about my sisters by name, you know. So it was like losing a family member. That's how it felt. Like I felt when my daddy died. That's how it felt.
And for a long time, I mean, long that you just could not talk about any of this. No,
it was just too. It was too difficult to talk about without crying and just being a mess, because I had to process it and I had to pray over it. Prince comes to me in my dreams quite often. I remember that night he was in my dream. He comes to me often, and it's just. And he speaks to me, he tells me things, and it's not a weird, scary thing, it's a beautiful thing. It makes me still feel connected with him. There was no blueprint to it. I didn't, you know, until you go through something like this, nobody can, you know, there's no blueprint for it. But you know, I'm on the other side of it now, and I'm thankful, like I said, for my faith in my family. And he's still with me, you know, he's still with me. He's always in my heart.
You also went through the emotional roller coaster when we found out how he died. And I talked to so many people who were close to him, and they said, I simply had no idea.
People go through things and you don't even know, because you're not there with them like that. But when it comes to that, I trust God in all things, not just things I understand. Most importantly, and mama, most importantly, the things that I don't understand, the things I can't wrap my brain around, that's when you have to trust him the most. And when you say you trust him and you give it to him, you gotta let it go. You can't trust him and still be like, but what about this God? And what about that God? It's like, nope, I trust you in all things. You brought my brother Prince home. He did what he was supposed to do on this earth while he was here. Now he's everywhere. He's in the sun, the wind, the air. He's everywhere around us. I trust you. It was his time, and I'll see him, you know, on the other side.
It is interesting when you talk what you just said about the kind of folks he liked. He was an avid news person.
Yeah, he was.
And so he knew who certain folks were and what they talked about. Yeah. That also rub off on you, where he was kind of like, yeah, you got to watch the news.
Oh, yeah. You have to understand the world that you're living in. And, you know, like Nina Simone said, an artist's goal is to reflect the times that we're living in. So the stuff that I'm even writing now, the stuff for this album is written, but the stuff that I'm writing now is reflecting these times, and there's some turbulent stuff going on. And if you're not aware, you don't have a clue. How can you even write about, what are you writing about, rims? What do you write, you know, what is that? So you need to understand it about what's going on in the world. And he was highly intelligent. People don't understand how smart this man was. Prince was one of the smartest people I ever met in my life. And not just smart about music, but smart about religion. He was well informed about so many different things and wanted us to be as well. He's like, you need to read this book. You need to watch this movie. Understand how all of this works so that you are the boss of you and that you're not subject to all this other stuff because you're uninformed, you know, and uneducated.
Do you think people in music, and certainly the general public, really have no idea about his brilliance?
I think they're learning now, which I love. I don't think they really knew. A lot of people didn't even know Prince was the musician that he was. Now, all of that music, he's gonna live on forever. And we're gonna make sure of it, and Shelby J is gonna make sure of it, that people understand and remember him for not how he died, but how he lived and what he left behind for all of us and all the gifts that he gave us, and that roadmap that he laid out in his lyrics for us to know how to treat each other, how to love one another, how to just be good and be kind, and to what matters.
Why is this called 10?
Wow, 10 was my number. I was born on the 10th day. I'm a Virgo, September 10th. 10 has always been my number. My father was born on the 10th, and Prince was into numbers. His number was 7. So for me, 10 is Shelby's number. But I want you to listen to my music and feel good. I want you to feel good about yourself. I want you to feel good about your life that you're living, and understand if you make a mistake, if you fall in a hole, you get back up, you dust yourself off, and you keep it moving. And that's how I want people to feel when they listen to that music. So I want them to feel like they're a 10. So yeah, 10.
When you think about musicians and entertainers, a lot of people who are performers, but there are very few people who are at such a high level, an iconic level, that other artists would bow down in their presence.
Yeah, he was always
one of those people. I mean, other cats who were major, and you were like, you know, you look like a groupie.
I watched Tom Cruise lose it. The biggest stars, when he would walk into a room, it's like he was the biggest star. The biggest stars became fans, straight up fans, like, oh my God, it's Prince. Or they'd be trying to act real cool, but it's like, oh my God, it's Prince. And they're looking, watching, you know, as we go by. But for me, the cool thing is I was always Shelby, and he always let me be Shelby. And from all the people telling me, you know, be like this, do this, I was raised, my mother and father raised me to, you know, they always said, wherever you go, you take yourself with you. You're gonna be who you are wherever you go. And I think Prince loved that about me, that I kept it so real with him. And I was a country girl, am still a country girl. And being around him in that space, sometimes I would sit and think about myself singing back in Greensboro somewhere. And I would sit and I would look at him, because we talked a lot about everything that I did and how I got there and places I played and everything. He goes, everything you did was to bring you to this place. It was all part of your journey. It had to happen to bring you here. You're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be in this time and space. And I'm like, okay. He goes, and we're going to the BET Awards next week. I'm like, all right, and you're gonna be, you know, be going with me. And that was kind of like my coming out to the world. And I was just like, Prince is, you know, my girlfriend Jania, Frederique told me, she said, we're all fans of Prince, but Prince was a fan of yours. How does that feel? And I was like, wow. You know, it's just, I feel honored and humbled and grateful and just beyond thankful that he chose me to be in his space. He taught me so much. He's still blessing me. Even though he's not here physically, he's still blessing me, and doors are opening, and I have this worldwide fan base. This is my first record I'm about to put out.
Y'all ready? Let's go and get this superpower, come on.
And people know me all over the globe, and he did that. He gave me that platform. So I'm super thankful, you know, and it's hard to even put into words, but sometimes I feel them everywhere, you know, and I'm like, I listen to the music and I'm like, that's Prince. I'm like, that was my boy, that's my brother, you know. Even driving up here, you know, we're listening to like Raspberry Beret, and I listen to all his music different because of our personal relationship. But I'm like, God, you chose me to be in his space. He chose me to be in his space, and I'm just super grateful for that, because of all of the singers, there are a lot of singers that hit higher notes than I hit, singers that, you know, do all this kind of stuff, but for some reason, he chose me to be in that space with him. And I'm like, this is Prince.
Van Jones said the final year and the final months of his life were interesting and unique.
Yeah, yeah. Very interesting and unique. He was always, I would always say, Prince was always way ahead of us. He was way ahead of everybody. So we'd be in 2015, he was already in like 2030, 2040. He just knew things, and you could see it, you could feel it. And he would say a lot of things. I think that he knew, this is just me personally saying this, I've never even said this before. I think that he knew his time on this earth was limited. I think that he knew he had some things he wanted to do and get done. We talked about the piano and a microphone tour. He had done everything. He had done the big bands, he had done this, he had done that. And he came to me almost apologetic, like, I'm about to do this because I wasn't gonna be working. He was concerned about me, you know, he goes, but this will give you time to finish your record, this will give you time to do the things you need to do. I'm like, absolutely. He goes, it's just gonna be me and a piano and a microphone. I was like, that's beautiful, because people could get to see the part of Prince that I got to see. They could get that intimate part of him. He talked about his dad. He talked about stuff he never talked about before. And this was all leading up to, you know, April. Everything leading up to that. Even the first concert in January that I was there with him, and we hung out all night long, and we talked about life, and we talked about the future, and I played my record for him, all but 2 songs, and he was just watching him listen and take it in and tell me, oh, you need to fix this part or do this. But it's like he was giving me instruction, almost like he knew he needed to tell me things. It's something, because my dad, who passed in 2010, did some similar things about 5 months leading up to his death. And I could really look at those parallels because I went through it with my father. So yeah, it was really, really interesting. I think that I think he knew he had something to say, and I think that piano and microphone tour was his opportunity to do that, because he got super deep, super personal, stuff he never shared with anybody. He was sitting there sharing stories about his childhood and about, you know, like I said, his father, and he just opened up. He was like, it's my time to just open up. You know, you could feel
About time.
You know I got you. I'm here.
How long you been waiting for this to drop?
A while, but it's a lot of work went into this. Took a little time off, some personal things, and, you know, going through life. And Prince was like, write about it, write about your love, write about your loss, write about everything. Put it into the music and let me know when it's ready. I want to hear it. And I got to play it for him. And he loved it and was like, go get him. And that's what I'm gonna go do. So it's time. It's time.
Walk folks through the process, if you will, when it comes to putting together and releasing an album, because it's unlike anything else, and it's a different process for different artists.
Absolutely. And for myself, you know, Prince was all about ownership, and that's something I learned from him. And, you know, this album is self-financed. It's all me. I'm independent. I don't have a big label behind me writing me checks, financing things. I put all of myself into this. So for me, I definitely put more time, more energy. You don't delegate, it's you. So I'm bringing together producers, I'm bringing together musicians. I'm not only writing the songs and co-writing the songs and doing the music and doing the singing, but then there's the business part of it. And I learned so much of that from him, because he was all about that, you know, really the whole thing, knowing how you want it to be and how you want it to look. And so that's, you know, it's a task and can be a lot of work, but I'm so proud of it now that the work is done, and I can stand knowing that, man, I learned so much from him and put it into making this. So I'm super proud of the music, and I know everything that went behind making it. So the people are ready for it. They've been ready for 3 years, and I'm ready to give them what they want.
Why did you choose to go this route?
Well, first of all, no label knocked down my door. And Prince says sometimes, you know, the best artists, they don't sign. And he would tell me that. He goes, you're one of the best singers and songwriters I've ever worked with. And he goes, we're going to get you out there, and I'm going to make sure I give you a platform and everyone can see you. So that's why he always pushed me out there, and he always wanted me to be seen. He gave me a global platform. And I trust God in all things. And I'm like, this is the way my path is supposed to go. This gave me control, and I love that. Yes, it made me have to dig deeper, both financially and with my resources, but God provided those resources. Prince provided those resources, and he gave me the blueprint to know exactly how to do this. And so now, with the help of the public, with the help of the internet, with the help of social media, I can get my music to people. They can get it, they can go online, they can buy it just like that. I mean, it's super simple.
I've heard people say Shelby J was Prince's understudy.
Yeah, I like to say I was the Robin to his Batman. You know, that's what I say.
And what and what was that experience like?
Wow, it was the most magnificent thing ever. I'm from a small town. I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina, and I was singing everywhere there. I was singing with different people. When I got with Prince, he elevated me to a level.
Now, how did that happen? I mean, how did y'all connect?
That happened through Larry Graham. I was on break. I was singing with Anthony Hamilton, and Anthony and I had performed with D'Angelo. And when Anthony got his deal, he was like, "Shelby, you coming with me?" I was like, "Okay." That's my North Carolina boy, my brother. And I was on a 2-week break. Larry Graham needed a singer for 1 gig. My girlfriend Sandra, who worked with Lettucey, was like, he goes, "I need a singer that can learn 13 songs in like 2 days." Sandra was like, "Shelby." So she reached out to me. I said, "I'm on break." I went, met Larry Graham, who's now like my second dad, and he said, "Well, we're gonna rehearse." We were rehearsing at Paisley Park. I was like, "Look, I'm in Paisley Park rehearsing." Prince wasn't even there. He was in Vegas, and I found out the gig was gonna be in Vegas at 3121, and he was doing his residency there. He saw me singing with Larry in sound check, and someone kept calling to sing. I was doing High Ground, and I sing it once, and I heard a voice say, "Sing it again." And I thought it was the sound guy, the producer, getting the sound straight or whatever. And I sang it again, and Larry kept playing, so I kept singing. I did it like 4 or 5 times, top to bottom. And then Prince comes from the back, and that's how I met him. And he was like, "You're a great singer." And I was like, "Thank you very much." And then he went away, and we did the gig that night. Prince came on stage, jammed with us, and next day I left. 2 days later, I'm getting a call. I'm sitting in Walmart with my sister, and Prince calls me. Well, his people called me, and they're like, "We want you to come back out here, and Prince is going to send you some songs to learn." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, he's going to send me these 7 songs. When am I leaving?" He goes, I need you in the morning. I need you to be on a plane in the morning coming back out to Vegas." And I was like, "Okay, Prince, okay." You know, you don't say no to Prince. And so I was just blown away that.
Now, did you have to tell Anthony?
Yeah, but see what had happened was, no, what's so cool was when I called Anthony, he was like, "Yo, Shell," he said, "I would quit my own band to sing Prince's band." Okay, I said, "That's real talk." So he was happy for me and proud of me, and he's always been super supportive. And he's actually going to be doing a song with me on this record. It's a little surprise. But Prince called us peanut butter and jelly. He was like, "Y'all should always sing together." He was like, "You are like the Roberta and Donnie of your generation. You don't even know it yet." And I was like, "Okay, Prince." So yeah, but that's how that happened, and we rocked for 10 years.
10 years.
10 years. 10 years. It's crazy when I look at the Super Bowl, and I was like, that was 2007, and and I do the math, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And this year, everybody was like, oh, it's been 10 years. Yeah, the Super Bowl was my first big gig with him nationally. A lot of people didn't even know I was singing with Prince because they had seen me with Anthony, and the next thing you know, Shelby's on stage at the Super Bowl. Well, I didn't have time to tell nobody. He snatched me up, and next thing you know, I was, a month later after the Vegas, I was at the Super Bowl.
Come on, baby.
And you're there hopping around on stage.
In all white.
Raining.
In all white.
In all
the
white.
rain. Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, Lord, don't slip and knock Prince off the stage into the band, and the twins are spinning, and I had on like 5-inch boots, and it was something.
Everybody still talks about how in the world y'all were able to do all of that on a stage and it's raining in those high heels.
Yeah, electric guitars, all of the instruments we played. Now see, there was not, lip singing. We don't do that. It's live. It's real instruments, and I think that's probably the only Super Bowl where there were literally like 8 people on a stage. That's it, not 30 dancers and all that kind of stuff. And everyone's playing, and the equipment stopped working after. Even Morris Hayes, our musical director, was like, we donated the equipment, and some of the equipment didn't even work. It worked during the whole show. We had no issues with anything. He's playing electric guitar. I'm like, please, or like electricity. It's got storms and stuff, and everything worked for the whole show. And then after we were done, that's when the equipment was like, okay, we done, I'm out. God was like, I'm gonna give y'all that, do that, and then equipment.
So for that to be, you know, your first major deal, I mean,
Yeah.
it's the Super Bowl.
I was done. Like I told him, and I said, look, I'm good. I was good with that. If he never called me again to do anything else, Shelby was good. But I told him, I said, if you keep calling, I'm gonna keep showing up. And that was it, because there were people like, oh, Prince changed his band every month. Get it while you can, girl. Have a good time, because next month, you know, he might have other singers. And I said, you know what? I'm grateful and I'm thankful to be here. This has been a long road to get here. I didn't just wake up and start singing with Prince at the Super Bowl. So whatever happens, this is my journey. This is my journey and my walk. And as long as I'm supposed to be with him, I'm gonna be with him. And when I'm not, I'm not. And I mean, it was awesome. I'm looking at it there. It was awesome.
You talk about riding with him, but also he had your back as well. So 2014, he performs at Essence Music Festival. But when it was over, you performed at the House of Blues. And in fact, at one point, he came on stage to play with the band while you were performing.
Yeah. Yeah, super. I mean, he was super supportive, and the thing is, he'd be like, go get him. Like, he trained us. You know, we would rehearse sometimes 10, 11, 12 hours a day, and he's like, I'm getting you ready. I'm getting you ready for what's next. I'm not always going to be here. You're not going to always be in my band. This is, like he told Adrian Crutchfield, he's like, this is for now. I'm preparing you for what's next. I like to tell people I got my PhD. That's where I went to school. I got my PhD right there, Paisley Park University, and when he would come on stage with us, he would get so much joy from just playing guitar, watching us do what he taught us to do, and how he elevated us from the singer I was when I came to his band in 2006 to what he saw me become, like at Essence 2014, and like, yeah, Shelby, go get him. And he was hard on us, but it made us better. He raised the bar. You know, I thought I was here, but he really raised the bar. And even with him not being here now, and I feel like he's with me every day. I hear him in my head. He's a part of every decision I make. He's a part of people I talk to, people I don't talk to. Just moves that I make, because he trained us to know, and I'm like, we're like his disciples. You know, Liv Warfield, Judith Hill, like, we know what he wanted us to do, and we're gonna be fearless about it. We're not gonna ask permission to do it. We're gonna go out there and do exactly what he trained us to do. And I know he is smiling, and he is super happy, like, yes, those are my girls, go get them.
How did you get adjusted to his crazy schedule? So it was NBA All-Star Game weekend, 2011 in LA, and I'm at Diddy's party, and it's craziness. Never even got inside because it was just madness outside. And I get a text message from Sean Robinson, and she says, hey, you want to come to a party at Prince's house?
I love Sean.
And I was like, yeah. So we go to the party, and it's only about 30 or some odd people there.
Oh, yeah.
And then
he was selective.
Yeah.
He was very selective. People don't even know. He was super selective about who he let in his personal space.
And Sean said he didn't like it if you didn't come to his house and not dance.
Oh, no. It's none of that sitting around, wallflower, none of that.
So I'm sitting here grooving. The next thing I know, this little short dude walking behind me and goes, you can really dance.
Yeah.
You're welcome to my house anytime.
Because he was always watching.
So y'all, this is a true story, I'm not lying. So all of a sudden, about 2 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden folks start out here, DJ still playing, and then all of a sudden the keyboard come out and guitars come out, and then a drummer come out. And
time for the show.
Folks are plugging up. And y'all put on almost a 3-hour concert. You and Liv were the singers.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That thing went to almost 6 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we had breakfast. It's beautiful. Let's do it, because it's what we love to do. And I tell people this is what I love to do.
When did y'all sleep?
Whew, gosh. Sometimes during the day, but you know.
Brother was nocturnal.
You find, yeah, he was. You find your time to get your little space in, but you get so used to it. Your body adjusts to that schedule, because that's just what it was. And it was just so much fun. It was an adventure. And I get home, we get back to North Carolina, and I tell people, I'm like, don't even call me, because I'm resting, because I'm getting ready for this, because when we would go, we would just go. You know, touring, doing a 3-hour show, then doing a 3-hour after show, then I hang for those that he wanted to bring back to hang, and then it's like, then we sleep because our work is done. And he's like, we're not always going to be able to do this, so we have to do it. We have to do it now. And I was like, okay, there was a sense of urgency. Like, we have to do this, and we love doing it. Even when your feet hurt, even when your voice, you losing your voice, I'm sipping my throat coat, I'm doing my stuff. It's like, this is what I know I was born to do. He knew he was born to do it. So it's like, this is what we have to do. And include the people around us. It's all about energy, and he was all about energy. And you can feel a person's energy when you walk into a room or when they walk into a room. And you know, he knew that, especially with inviting people into his home, and that was very special. It was very, very special. And I knew that if I saw anybody there, that okay, there was something that he felt coming from you where he felt open enough to open himself up. You know, and he could trust you. There was a sense of trust.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.